the sales stuff that's going on. Talked to some folks very much with knowledge of the letter of intent and what's going on with the sale to Patrick Zalewski and this group of Tampa Bay investors. We had Ken Hagan on the show on Friday. There have been a couple pieces in the Times, WFLA, about possible suitors. So I want to get into that a little bit. The Rays on the field yesterday, as good as they've been playing, obviously 4-3 against two very good teams this week. It almost feels like it should be better. And it's just some very curious decisions by Kevin Cash that are just head-scratching at times. And, the Christopher Morel batting for Jonathan Aranda in a 4-1 game the other night. With first and third, one out. You need every run to bring up a guy that's hitting 186 against lefties and take out a guy that's hitting 286 against lefties and crushing everything. To put in a guy who is, by percentage-wise, the biggest strikeout victim in Major League Baseball, compared to a guy that puts the bat on the ball almost every single time in that situation. And of course, Morel struck out on 3 pitches, and the Rays go on to lose 4-1. Just like head-scratching. And then Littell yesterday, Zach Littell, is cruising through 5 innings, 69 pitches, 53 for strikes, and he given up 1 run. And obviously, as Cash said, the off day on Monday, the bullpen is rested. Go to your guys. Not as horrible a decision as the Morel one, quite frankly. But still, it's like, what are we doing? And then Clevenger hasn't pitched 2 complete innings in 83 appearances and rarely goes 2 complete innings. Gets the first inning done in the 6th, but Cash sends him out for the 7th, and he gives up an 0-2 2-run homer, and the floodgates open up. So curious decision, to say the least. And it's odd and listen, Kevin Cash is still, in my book, the best manager in baseball. He does more with less than anybody ever has, maybe, in this game. But lately, it just seems like, what are we doing in key situations? Your thoughts?
Yeah, pinch hitting Jonathan Aranda for Christopher Morel is never, in my opinion, any sort of move you go to. I don't care who's on the mound. I'll give Morel credit. He hit one of the furthest balls. And he probably hit the furthest ball we've seen in the Steinbrenner era the day after. So I guess he made up for it a little bit there. But, I mean, we know what Christopher Morel is, right? So that was a little bizarre. Yesterday, taking out Zach Littell at 69 pitches, I mean, we've seen Cash do this before. This is nothing new. It was a 1-1 game, and I thought it was just bizarre because I think they've let Littell go long in games all year long where maybe he did not have his best stuff and he was sort of grinding through outings. I thought Zach Littell's stuff yesterday was maybe the best it's been all year.
Fantastic.
I think maybe they got worried because there were 2 lefties, including Kerry Carpenter. I think Riley Green was coming up right after.
Yep.
And, 2 best guys in that lineup, both power hitters, were coming up in a 1-1 game. And Zach Littell leads Major League Baseball in home runs given up this year. So I have to think maybe that was part of the decision to pull Littell there. And listen, Garrett Clevenger has been
really good.
Maybe your most consistent reliever throughout the year. I'm fine going to him in that moment. Bringing him out for a second inning is where I draw the line.
Yeah, especially, when you're saying the bullpen is rested, you got Monday off. Well, okay, let's get the A guys in there, 1 inning apiece. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seemed a little bit odd.
It was a little curious, but I guess like when you said like it should be better, I'm like, I don't know how much better we could really ask for right now. I mean, they've been
in the past homestand.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's some close games like you mentioned, like the 2 against Baltimore and obviously the one they dropped to Detroit. But I mean, the Rays have the best record. I think they have the most wins of any team against teams north of 500 with a record.
Yeah, I'm greedy.
Can't get greedy right now. Can't get greedy right now. They're only 2.5 behind the Yankees. They're right there. I mean, what else could we ask for at this point in the season?
More. I want more. No, listen, they played great baseball. They played fantastic baseball. But we can criticize individual decisions here and there. And, Kevin Cash certainly knows what baseball is all about, and that's it. And you make your decisions, and he's the best manager in baseball, and most times he gets it right. But when he doesn't, or just for fodder anyway, we got to talk about these things, right? So we do. Listen, yeah, they're playing great baseball, and it's fun to watch now that they're hitting the Caminero with another home run this weekend.
Cool.
It's got 19. It's a really, really fun team to watch. If we could just get rid of Christopher Morel, please, and bring Chandler Simpson back.
I was going to say Chandler Simpson. I had the numbers this morning for you. He's hitting 366 with a 416 on base, 11 stolen bases, and 6 walks in 16 games since he's been down in AAA. So I don't think it's going to be Morel, though. It looks like it's probably going to be – I think it's got to be Meisner at this point because, you're just waiting for his bat to come alive, and it's just not happening. I think Meisner, but that's the one.
Either one, for God's sakes. For either one, for God's sakes. let's make the move.
Yeah.
What are we waiting for?
I thought we were like – yesterday, I don't know if you saw this. Ha-Sung Kim gets hit in the elbow yesterday in the AAA game, and he was in a lot of pain. And I was like, "Oh my goodness, you're kidding me, right? No way." But apparently, he stayed in the game, and I guess he's fine. So we dodged a bullet there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The Rays, how they get even better, and I'm adding Ha-Sung Kim right into wherever in that order, and throwing Chandler Simpson in for Cameron Meisner, and I think you have a even more well-rounded group.
Absolutely, 100%. You really want to get rid of Taylor Walls at this point?
Man, Taylor's playing well. Taylor's playing well.
You send Curtis Mead out.
No, you can't send Curtis Mead out. You can't send Curtis Mead out. We've been waiting forever for Curtis Mead to find his bat, and he's found it finally.
Then who's going out?
Really good lately.
What infielder are you sending out? Not Caballero.
The problem with the you're probably gonna have to. I guess you're probably gonna have to move Walls.
No, we got Walls over Mead. Over Mead.
I like Mead. At the moment, Mead is you've been waiting for that at bat for that.
You got to make a choice. You don't have a 27-man roster, bro. You got to make a choice. Come on now, make a choice.
Man, I can't send down Mead right now. I think he needs some more consistent at bats at the major league level. Taylor Walls, even though in spite of his,
I would agree with that, but you got to send somebody down for
in spite of Taylor Walls' hot streak, he is Taylor Walls. We know what he is.
Right. Well, you got to make a choice. You can't be sitting on the fence, so you got to make a choice. All right. So anyway, we'll table the baseball on the field conversation because it's all good. The Rays are playing good baseball. So now we go to the off the field stuff. So over the weekend, I was speaking with someone who very much in the know on the Rays sale, and as you've seen in the past, since it's of course this is the only way you're going to do it with the Rays. Since Patrick Zalewski, the group has surfaced last week in the Sportico comments. And by the way, Kurt Badenhausen, who wrote that story, is going to be on with us tomorrow. So at 10:30, so join us for that. So when that surfaced, of course, most markets would be, oh, finally, we're getting rid of this terrible owner, blah, blah, blah. But no, not Tampa Bay. No, not Tampa Bay. Instead, it's like, who's the next guy? Who's the next guy that can buy the team? Is there anybody else? Oh, it's a hedge fund guy named Tim Miller, who, by the way, has been involved in this process before and has been involved in this process for quite some time. There is a reason that Major League Baseball did not choose him to buy this team. There is a reason that Major League Baseball has chosen the Zalewski Group and has been working with them for months. And there's a reason why Ken Hagan came on the show on Friday and said he is extremely confident that this group, Zalewski, in conjunction with all the elite Tampa Bay investors that I've been telling you about for months, this is the group that Major League Baseball favors. This is the group that they want to buy the team. And as we've told you many times, and as history tells us, the teams that get the sale, the groups that get the sale, are not the groups that are banging the pots and making all the noise and going to the newspapers and doing stories and telling the newspapers how much they want to buy the team, while the newspapers ignore the actual team that has the group that has a letter of intent. Like, I don't understand this process, but only in this market. So we write these stories. Oh, so this, how long is the letter of intent? How long does it expire soon? What makes the Miller guy better than the Zalewski guy? And I'm not here to say that, to compare the two guys. I don't know them. I know more about Zalewski than I do about Miller. But I know this. This is the group that Major League Baseball has backed for months. This is the group that has been working behind the scenes to get their ducks in a row so when they can purchase the team, they have a stadium plan ready to go. This is not, didn't just show up last week like many of you think. And this is not a car auction like many of you think, that someone just comes in and throws money and it goes to the highest bidder. That's not the way this works. These ownership groups have to be thoroughly vetted by Major League Baseball, which this group with the letter of intent led by Zalewski and these elite Tampa Bay investors has been vetted. Major League Baseball knows who they are. Ken Hagan knows who they are. Chris Lotvola knows who they are and knows that this is the group that Major League Baseball wants to purchase the team. Now, does that mean it 100% will go through? No, it doesn't. But it means that's the group they want, and that's the group that Major League Baseball believes, that the group believes, that Ken Hagan believes, that Chris Lotvola believes, that I believe can get the job done with the stadium in Tampa. So, and here's a couple of quotes I got from this person very much in the know as far as the sale goes. And it was Stu Sternberg's desire, as I've told you for a long time, to take this out as long as he could and wait for more people just to throw money at him. Remember when he said, after poor Stu got, the deal didn't go through, that he reneged on. I mean, let's just be honest. He said I'm just going to get up and dust myself off and go at it again. We've got another 4 years to figure it out. And no, you don't. Time's up. And that's what Major League Baseball has told him. The quote is this: "It's all a laugh. MLB has told Stu what he's getting and no more negotiating with the city." Remember when Stu wanted to go back and see if they could get another deal with the city? MLB said, no, your time's up. And the secondary quote says, "Stu thinks the longer he pushes, someone else will give him more money. MLB has told him time's up." So time's up. That's why we have the letter of intent now. Now, again, will it go through? I think it will. If it were left up just to Stu, of course, as we've said, this would take forever. But finally, Major League Baseball is driving this. They want to get the deal done. They want to get the stadium plan announced, and they want to move on. So, again, what do I think is going to happen at this point? And I'm still not sure about Tropicana Field, but it looks increasingly likely that that's where they're going to go back and play. So for you, Nick, you can have your nostalgic moments for the next 3 years.
I'm good. Let me tell you, I'm past that stage.
You've moved on?
I've moved on, but I've accepted that it's going to happen though. But
yeah, so they'll go back and play for 3 more years in Tropicana Field while this new stadium is done in Tampa, and this group will own the team. They'll get the job done, and we can move into a stadium, say 2029 season. That sound good? God, it seems like forever, but yeah, 2029. So again, could this deal fall apart? Sure. Could it? Could somebody? But if it does, then the good news is there are many investors in line to get to go through this and get the job done. Plenty of people that want to throw money at Stu Sternberg. What Major League Baseball is trying to do is get the deal done, get it moving forward, get the stadium announced so they can move on with expansion. Make sense?
Yeah, I think what happened here is Stu Sternberg simply ran out of time. We always talk about things get done when you get to the deadline. And we were talking about this deadline back in 2018, or even before that, right? And we always knew the lease is up at the end of 2020. Was it 2027 at the time?
2027, yeah.
2027. And you always knew, like, probably at least 3 years out, that was the deadline. And here he was presented with the deal of a lifetime for him over in St. Pete on the exact site that we thought would not work. But you know what? It was what it was, right?
Right.
and he decided to torpedo his own deal and blame everyone else. And
Of
at
course.
that point, that is where all the other owners sort of, I think, came to the realization, and they probably did long before that, but this was the final straw where they were like, well, there's nothing else. This guy is, I mean, he's burned the bridge on both sides of the bay. No politician wants to work with him. And I think because of that, he simply has run out of time. And the fact that Major League Baseball is so adamant that they want baseball to remain in Tampa Bay, and that is helping this tremendously by having Rob Manfred be a supporter of this. There's no other solution here but for him to sell. He's pressured to have to do it. I don't think Stu Sternberg wants to sell this baseball team. I don't think he does one bit, but I think it's gotten to the point where he's being basically forced to do it because what other hand can he play? He's maxed out. He's maxed out everything. And I think for all the Rays fans who might have been supportive of him to an extent, maybe because they looked past all the other stuff and said, well, look at all the on-field success for 15 years that, he really didn't have that much to do with. I think after all this that's happened, he's got no supporters left. I think it's a toxic situation for him, and it's best to just get out of the way. Just get out of the way and let us get new ownership. You've been covering the teams in this market longer than I've been alive, obviously. And I think you could probably say that when the Glazers came into Tampa Bay, that was a much needed injection of something positive to the Buccaneers, and we were off and running from there.
Not without controversy, though, with the stadium.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure there's always, speed bumps and stuff like that. But in general, that worked out pretty well for the Bucs, I would argue. The Lightning got a lifeline when Jeff Vinik decided to buy this team after 5 or 6 years of disastrous ownership up until then.
Yep.
I mean, a change in ownership can really ignite, a franchise, and we've seen that in this area before, and the Rays are long overdue for it.
Yeah, we've always said that the three most important things in sports are ownership, ownership, and ownership. It's just like real estate, and the change in ownership is needed. And we've said this before; it bears repeating. Sometimes I have to vomit in my mouth saying it, but we got to give Stu credit for making this team into a winner and coming up with very innovative thinking.
I give him credit for putting the right people in place.
Yes, absolutely.
To run a ship the way that he sort of gave them, doing the best you can. But I mean, I feel like to an extent he's held them back at times too.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. So you give him credit for coming up with the innovative strategies to, make money and be competitive. That line that we want to play meaningful games in September. I've never heard anybody, any owner ever say that. It's always, I want to win a World Series. But Stu, I think maybe he let that slip. And it's like, we just want to make money, do this on a small payroll, use that window of productivity for young players during arbitration that they can be some of the best players in the game. Trade away and when they get to be high-priced stars, you trade them away and just do it all over again.
I tell you what,
it's a great formula for winning games and making a shit ton of money.
I was going to say though,
what he's done.
I was going to say though, if you look at the current team and sort of the model they followed there, I mean, the Glasnow trade. I mean, if you offered that back to the Dodgers, they would love to get Ryan Pepiot back. I mean, Ryan Pepiot's turning into an ace before our eyes right now, to be honest with you. And Glasnow can't even stay healthy, which was the reason why he's not here anymore, right? Along with the money that he was being paid.
The money is the reason.
Yeah. I mean, they traded Jeffrey Springs after they paid him. Well, I haven't seen him but one game in the majors, but his name's Joe Boyle, and he looks pretty good to me. So I like where that stands at the moment. The Randy trade, I mean, Randy hasn't lit it up at all in Seattle, to be honest with you. I almost forget sometimes that Randy is still doing his thing, no disrespect. So, the model has worked, at times. The big miss was the Blake Snell, obviously. That was the big miss. But, yeah, it is kind of interesting how the way that they've sort of operated. Yeah, Longoria. But the way they've operated, I mean, that's always going to happen. You're going to have your hits and you're going to have your misses. Exactly. But it is fascinating to look at sort of that approach over the years.
Yeah, and that's Stu. That's not Stu making those trades. That's Andrew Friedman and Eric Neander, and they've done a fantastic job. So we give him credit for that, but also, holding us back in terms of payroll when moves could have been made to add payroll and maybe get a World Series championship. And hopefully this new group can do that, and they can leverage this market for what it really should be. There should never be a market where other owners are writing us revenue sharing checks. That should, Pittsburgh, I get it. Milwaukee, I get it, but not Tampa Bay, not the 11th largest market with the 15th largest market down the road in Orlando. That's why Major League Baseball covets this market so much. And they know that just a change in ownership with someone with deeper pockets and, frankly, the ability to negotiate and do deals. Stuart Sternberg is a horrible negotiator. Everybody I've ever dealt with that has dealt with him says the same thing. You can't trust the thing that comes out of their mouth. They move the goalpost every 5 minutes. You can't get deals done with people like that. And Major League Baseball finally came to that conclusion. And that's why this group has been vetted. They love this group because of their local ties. They love this group because of their deep pockets. And they love this group because of their political connections with Ron DeSantis and Zalewski being best buddies.
And listen, Stu Sternberg is still going to win big here because
God,
he bought this team for $200 million, I believe, in 2000.
$50 million. No, so somebody asked me about this on Twitter, and I just wanted to relate it.
Specifics, yeah.
So he bought it for $200 million, of which $50 million reportedly was his portion. Okay. And throughout the years, and this is what the lawsuit was all about, his partners, he forced them out at times with strong arm tactics, according to the lawsuit, and got hold of those shares for pennies on the dollar, according to the lawsuit. Okay. Now, this is the same lawsuit that he had to settle out of court for a humongous amount, I've been told. Of course, it's all NDA. You're not allowed to, even though some people think they know what the numbers are. And the numbers that I put out there, I've seen publicly, I don't think are even close to what the settlement was. I heard it was mid 9 figures. I don't know if that's true, but it came from a good source. But that would make sense actually for the portion that these partners had or should have had. So yeah, he got control of all the shares as far as I know, and according to the lawsuit. So he's going to walk with, not to mention the hundreds of millions of dollars that he already took out of this team, the $500 million that he put into another company that came from the upfront regional baseball deal that he did with Fox 7 years ago. This is all in the lawsuit, by the way. So this is a sworn testimony by his partners. So he's going to walk with $1.7 billion on a team that's probably worth 1.3, 1.4.
That was my general point. I think he's going to get even more than that because I know that they're in exclusive, I guess, negotiations with this. So I guess the way I interpret that is even though the Miller Group is there and they've made an offer, I guess the Rays are not entertaining that right now. It sounds like that's just an offer. They can't because they're exclusive.
It's noise. Yeah.
Yeah. But theoretically, if Stu wanted to, and I certainly believe he will because he's a businessman, he's going to. I think it was written in the Athletic article too. I think Miller even said that he probably sees this to where they probably pit them against each other and bid it or whatever. So my point is he's going to make close to $2 billion off the sale.
What I'm trying to tell you, Nick, is MLB has already. This is Miller talking to the Times. This is Miller talking to the Athletic.
Yeah,
I read the Athletic piece as well. This is him going out and talking to these guys to try and get some attention from Major League Baseball because he's already been rejected by Major League Baseball. He was part of the Doyle group, according to the Athletic report, that got rebuffed last year for $1.8 billion by Stu. So Major League Baseball knows who he is, but why didn't they pick him to be the lead investor here? Because they want this other group. So, and Miller said he would put up 1.5 or would offer more if he had to. So what happens here is it's just an ongoing, Stu can do this forever. And Major League Baseball is like, no, you're done. You're going to take your huge profit so we can move on as a group to expansion. So we can get a stadium deal done in Tampa. The time is right. These folks are interested. They have the money. Let's get the deal done now. We're not putting it up for bids. It's not a car auction. That's not how this works, young man.
I don't know why you're telling me. I agree with you.
Because you just said, "Oh, well, if this one doesn't work out," you're just like the Times. You're just like all these other people that are like, "Oh, well, this guy's got more money. He says he's got. Does he? Does he have more money? I don't know."
I was reading you an excerpt from an article written by The Athletic.
I'm just taking out my frustrations on you.
This is not my opinion. I would prefer that he would just take the deal that he is in exclusive negotiating with and be done with it.
Yes,
but I'm just saying we can never look past Stu Sternberg to do something.
Well, that's the point. He's not. Here's I'll read these quotes again to you. It's all a laugh. MLB told Stu what he's getting and no more negotiations with the city. He continued. Stu thinks the longer he pushes, someone else will give him more money. MLB has told him time is up. So, yeah, you're right. Somebody will always come with more money, but then MLB has to vet them. Can they get the stadium done? Do they have the political connections? Are they part of do they have people here in Tampa Bay that have maybe real estate holdings and other things in this group that will help get the stadium deal done? No. This group does. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like we're not, at this point, we're not talking about the other group. So unless something with this group collapses, which I don't anticipate it doing, then this is the group. And let's celebrate this group. Let's not keep looking for the shiny coin that's, clanging pots and banging gongs. This is the group. Okay? And also, now we got to get it done now. We're not going to have Stu string this out forever so he can get, $50,000 more from the next guy, and then we got to go vet them too. So Major League Baseball is highly desirous to get this deal done now with this group. It's more than enough money. It's $300 million more at least than it's worth. And this is the group they want to get it done. So let's get it done. RJ Martin says, if you want to put these up, I can't do it on my phone here. Good morning. Can't wait for the boat parade when we get rid of Stu. I think it's worthy of a boat parade. I do. Let's see what else we got. I don't know what that means. Oh, I think that's teams. Yeah. Kenneth McCleary says, apparently the Tampa Bay Rays are wrecking teams that have the best record in baseball. See, I didn't want to put that up, kid, because, today's closing arguments for Wander Franco. You're a little.
Apparently he showed up late to his today. They were waiting for him to show up. Yeah, he came late.
Always a good look.
Yeah.
Well, he was busy. Douglas says, was at Rays game yesterday. Happy to see the Rays win series, but baffled with some of Cash's decisions, especially bringing in Whitley, ERA 10 plus in the ninth with Uceda and Fairbanks available and the rest day. Yeah, what about that one?
I mean, Whitley's been really good since they got him. The problem is they're having him throw this cutter, and that's the only pitch he can throw. And so it's about when you're throwing one pitch effectively, eventually you're gonna get bitten. And then Montgomery too, his velocity was down by 3 miles per hour or something yesterday.
What's up with that?
I think he's pitched more than any reliever on the Rays this year, so maybe he's getting fatigued right now. So trade deadline, they're going to have to add a reliever for sure. They got to go get a reliever.
Danny Sledge says, I can't believe I'm saying this, but keep Taylor Walls.
It's amazing how we got to that point, huh?
Yes.
I don't know. I went back and looked. Curtis Meade's hitting 321 over his last 22 games.
I know. But
he's a right-handed bat. He's a right-handed bat.
I think Walls is hitting 360. By the way, I don't know. Does Walls or Meade have any options left?
I think so. Yeah,
because that could definitely determine what happens.
Also, who gives you more positional flexibility as well?
Probably Meade. Well, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It's tough because I know Taylor
He plays
Walls
third.
knows that Hassan Kim is coming, and he's clearly that's lit a fire under his ass. And I mean, he's showing why he deserves to stay on the roster. But I mean, someone's got to go. It just can't have 27 in the clubhouse. That's how it works.
Yeah, well, if I have to pick right now, I'd say I because I know what Taylor Walls defensively is. And here's the other thing: Hassan Kim, even though we're waiting for him, can we really count on him? And you don't want to make Curtis Mead your everyday shortstop, do you?
No, and they don't view. I don't know if they view Cabby as a. I mean, they've started to move Cabby into the outfield. They've had him at third. He hasn't really been at short as much. So that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the argument for keeping Walls is you have two true shortstops on the roster if you don't view Cabby as, an option to play that position.
Well, Cabby can play anywhere.
Yeah, I know he can play anywhere.
Who's your backup third baseman?
I mean, you could throw Cabby there whenever, really.
Right. Joe Nabrowski says the mainstream media, radio, and print are trying to hijack this process, perhaps deliberately through Stu personally. Listen, I'm not going to say no to that, Joe. I think you're spot on. The people that are pushing these narratives are the same people that have always pushed Stu Sternberg's narratives. Let's just be honest. And does Stu want to sell this team right now? To your point, Nick, no, he doesn't. He wants to take this process out forever, but Major League Baseball is telling him to. So what do? We tell hey, go do a story on this Miller guy. He wants to buy the team for more. Go do a story on this other group. I've had 3 different groups call me to do stories to get their word out again.
Haven't we had we're up to 8 groups or something crazy?
I mean, everybody. And why is this? Because Stu Sternberg's telling them, hey, get your name out there, muddy up the waters. In my opinion, muddy up the waters. Let's get your name out there. Let's get more money. I don't want to be forced into this sale. I think I can make 3 pennies more if I wait 2 months. Enough. And
let me also add to what I said earlier. I said, there's history in this market, when you get a new ownership change of how it can inject something into your franchise. I should have mentioned even actually Stu coming aboard, regardless of how rocky this part of it was. I mean, MLB forced Vince Naimoli out. And so, I mean, you have to give Stu did have a good impact on the Rays in some aspects. So I should have added him in there for full transparency.
No, we've given him credit for those things as much as, I hate to. You got to be fair, and we're fair. I don't care what you say. We're fair. Yes, other radio stations and Joe says this is being sabotaged by the Times on a certain radio station. Yeah, absolutely, because they do his bidding. Yeah. Oh, there's other people out there. Topkin had a line in his story last week I thought was interesting. He said in the Zoom call to the employees, and I've heard the same, by the way, that Sternberg was very somber and very frustrated to inform them that he was selling the team. He doesn't want to Nick's point. He doesn't want us. He wants to drag this out forever to get a few more. And and who does that harm? Us, Rays fans, the city of St. Petersburg, the city of Tampa, Major League Baseball wants to expand. He doesn't care about anybody but himself, and this is true history. And that's how he's run this team. It's all about him and how much money he can make. If he was being, like some people portray in this market, which is a joke, some altruistic owner that, he's decided to do the right thing. No, he's got no options. If it were up to him, he'd hold on to get as much as he possibly could. He's got no options, and he's being forced to sell the team. Yes, and good for us and good for everybody else. Thank God Major League Baseball has finally stepped up and done this. People are kind of hit me up as they like, wow, Stu's really going to make out on this deal. Doesn't that piss you off? And I'm like, no, it doesn't piss me off. I just like him to go so we can move on here. That's all. Good for him. He's a good businessman. He's made gazillions of dollars, and tried to F with people who don't make a lot of money. and screw people over like me. Yeah, this is what elite businessmen, rich people do. They don't care. It's all about the money. And that's the way he's always run this team. And I would like someone else to run this team who's not all about the money, about making money, but is about winning, putting together a winning organization that wins World Series. And for so long, it just mystifies me how this fan base has been brainwashed into, oh, that's too much money for a player. It's not your money. It's not your money. There's no salary cap. If there was a salary cap, I'd say, okay, yeah, that's too much for that money. There is no salary cap in baseball. So, yeah, go out and spend some money on players. You're going to overpay for free agents that are experienced sluggers that actually perform in the postseason offensively and pitching-wise. But we figured out the pitching part. Now we just got to go get some proven sluggers that cost money. And we can do that at the deadline. And maybe this new group, the sale goes through, they can make some of these decisions. Wouldn't that be nice?
They're slugging right now.
They are slugging right now. They don't really need one, but they will need one.
I'm still adding another big bat in the middle of the order. Hopefully, get rid of
Meisner and Morel, and bring up Chandler Simpson and make room for one big right-handed slugger. Hell, how much better can this team be? Yeah, it can be better. And it needs to be better, frankly. It needs to be better. It's good. They have the best record in baseball since May 20th, but previous to that, not so good.
Yeah, and also pay attention to the standings right now. I mean, first of all, you have four teams in the AL East with 40 wins. I mean, this is every year. 4 teams in the AL East have.
We got a lot more division games coming up.
No other division, the AL Central and the AL West, they only have the one team with 40 wins, and it's the division leaders, and we got 4. So it is like so many teams that are right behind the Rays when it comes to that wild card push. So I don't care. The Nelson Cruz trade didn't work out 4 years ago, and I feel like they've gotten gun shy because of that over the years.
You know why that didn't work out, by the way?
What?
He's told everybody now. The trop. He couldn't hit in the trop.
Well, he had the Willie. He had the Willie syndrome. Apparently, he had the Willie syndrome. But he was also just cooked at that time because he was.
I don't know. That dude could hit underwater.
He couldn't hit after that. He came to Tampa. He couldn't hit at all. And then the year after that, he couldn't hit either. He was just cooked. Yeah. But I wouldn't let that deter them from trying it again this year. I mean,
absolutely
you're overachieving right now compared to what you were. And I feel like if you have the window and you have the opportunity to do it, I mean, go for it.
Absolutely. Jeremy, put up James and Jeremy's comments there, if you would, at the end there. Yeah, WDA and TBT are cowards. Simple as that, says James. They have always been the ones who say we're a small market team. Yeah, factually, that's completely untrue. Don't read the Times anymore, nor do I listen at all to WDA, a joke radio network. Yeah, kind of agree there. And Paredes, and Jeremy says Paredes was that guy we are missing.
Well, here's the thing.
You can't have Paredes and Caminero.
I was going to point it out because of the fact Jonathan Aranda has been Jonathan Aranda this year. At the end of the day, you would have had 4 players vying for the same position, and it wasn't going to work. So as much as I hate the return for Paredes, looking back at it right now, I mean, what are you doing there with Paredes, Caminero, Yandy, and Aranda? Yeah,
it's a lot to figure out. Yeah.
I just hate the return at the end of the day.
No, but here's the thing: he wouldn't have had shackles on him. Talk about Neander, and could add significant payroll. He had to find a guy under control like Morel, who's a power hitting outfielder. You know, people aren't going to part with those very, very easily, and especially how many are there that you want that you don't add that aren't going to add payroll to your team. Again, hard to make a trade when you've only got, a small universe to work with.
Yeah, we'll see. Morel's been a little bit better lately. The standards. He's been a little bit better lately.
I just like putting him up in an RBI situation like that to kind of hopefully get his numbers up.
No, I wouldn't take Jonathan Aranda out of the game against anybody. No. I wouldn't mess with the top 4 in that lineup of Yandy, Aranda, Brandon Lau, and Caminero. Like I'm not messing with that. Like those 4 right now are on a different planet.
I was talking to a buddy of mine who played in the big leagues for a while, and I said, what if he said, don't use my name. I said, what if your skipper came to you in that situation? You're the cleanup hitter. It's first and third, 1 out. And he says, hey, I'm putting in Morel for you. He'd say, I would be in jail right now because I would have hit him in the head with my bat.
But Cashman, again, he made the right call, though, I think the night before when they had the big comeback. And Curtis Mead had not played in like 9 days or something like that. Or had an at bat at 7 or 9, something like that. And he comes up and goes 2 for 2. And then it's 8-6, and he gets sat down, even though he's 2 for 2 for Brandon Lau. And Brandon Lau hits the 2-run home run to tie it. So, he pushed the right button there.
Oh, he pushed all the right buttons in that comeback. That's why he's the best manager in baseball. Yeah. But when he screws up, we got to put – and that's the other thing. I just can't – in my heart, that Morel decision was not a baseball decision in terms of that moment to win the game. That was – we're trying to trade this guy. We got to put him up in some key situations, see if he can deliver and get something out of that deal. That makes a lot more sense. You can't – unless there's something we don't know, like Aranda was hurt or didn't like Soto or doesn't like – whatever it was, I'd like to know.
I think they just genuinely think that when Morel's up there and maybe in that capacity, they just think that at any moment he's a threat to hit a home run.
Well, if you swing that hard, eventually you're going to hit one a long way.
Like he did on Saturday.
Eventually. But,
that was a bomb. That was
a bomb. But
that thing went over the trees.
But that's my problem with Morel. He swings that hard on every swing. 2 outs, 2 strikes. It doesn't matter. The dude he's just going to swing as hard as
Junior's doing it too. Junior's doing it too, but the difference is he's really gifted at what he's really gifted at the plate, so it works out.
He's balanced and his head is on the ball when he does it. Instead of Morel's he's like flailing away, and you're going to run into one every now and then, for God's sake.